that's why I've gotten these opportunities, like the invitational. Like I'm only a purple belt. I'm only a purple belt. And people kind of hated on me a little bit for that, for getting that opportunity. They're like, oh, who wants to see purple belts on the stage? Like, okay, but how many girl grapplers do you see doing some of the shit I do? Like, I don't even post half the shit I do. Like, I do a lot of crazy shit, and I think that's why I've gotten the highlights and the opportunities that I have.
Jiu-Jitsu nerds, I am being joined by Amanda Mazza, who's representing Illuminati Grappling Club and Web MMA. And Amanda, I originally wanted to do this interview just because UFC Grappling announced their grappling league, which is a completely new thing. And I saw you have competed on there before. Like, I remember when I was watching your debut with UFC Fight Pass Invitational, I'm like, the size disparity is so crazy. Like, can we get our girl
Yeah.
like a match with someone a little bit closer to your size? But I feel like that just speaks volumes of your tenacity and your willingness to compete against anyone, anywhere, anytime. So, can you tell me a little bit about what makes you just want to go out and accept any challenge?
Well, I mean, honestly, yeah, I'm small. I'm 5 foot. People don't really realize how small I am, till they see me. And like, I'm 5 foot tall. I don't break 120. I walk at like 115, 117, the highest. But honestly, like, I just have a lot of fire in me, and I'm just like such a scrappy little bitch. And I just am like, hey, I'll take anyone, anytime, anywhere. I don't care. I don't care about the size. I'm all about opportunities and experience. Win or lose, I'm going to go out on my sword. And I don't know, like I always say, I'm like, all right, yeah, I'm not the best yet, but I promise you I'm one of the most exciting, and I will always be one of the most exciting. So that's why I don't know. I have no fear. I'm really kind of a balls to the wall or nothing at all type of grappler, I would say.
And I feel like since your very first competition, you've been very exciting, even when it comes on, the losing end. I think your first competition, you were knocked unconscious. Like, how do you kind of come back from an experience like that and be like, hey, I want to keep competing?
Honestly, I just obviously we get better as we go on, but yeah, no, I was put to sleep. I was put to sleep my very first competition, but still, like I don't know, like it just you go out there and you go and give your all. We train hard for these opportunities and for these things. So why am I going to go out there and just play like mid? Like that's not how I am. Like even if I lose, and honestly, I have worlds coming up, IBJJF, and honestly, that rule set is not in my favor because I am someone that chases the subs. And if I got to jump for a flying arm bar and I miss it and I get my guard pass and I lose points because I'm going for crazy subs, like all right, so be it. But again, like I just did pans, and same thing. I had a wild match with this girl and I lost by points, but until the very last buzzer, I was just gunning for her and trying to freaking kill her, honestly. And I came up short, but it was a crazy, crazy match. So honestly, I just feel like just constantly going forward and on the mat and competition in life always is just you win. Even when you lose, you still kind of win, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I feel like there's so much to take away from competing in general. I know that you just mentioned Worlds coming up. I mean, that is like the top of the top. And you began, just going to any tournament that you can. So for you, at this point of your career, how do you balance the physical preparation of what it takes to compete at the top levels at Worlds with also the mental preparation of any pressure that comes with it? Or at this point of your career, does it not really, nerves affect you as much? Like, how do you kind of balance the two?
I mean, nerves, they'll always be there. It never gets easier with the nerves. I just am starting to learn really how to control them better. And turning the nerves to more excitement. That definitely has been such a big game changer. And honestly, as far as like preparation, like I train hard every single day. Like I'm very fortunate in the rooms that I get to train in. I have two really, really high level coaches, and I have a lot of like UFC guys with me. I have a lot of professional grapplers, a lot of MMA guys, like even hobbyists. Like we all just kind of grind and push, push, push. So I'm really, really fortunate to be in the rooms that I'm in and get great training, great teammates, like good pushes, good technique, everything. And, off the mats, obviously I have to do my part with my strength training with, I like to read a lot. So I read a lot of books and stuff. So I like
I
to read.
love
And you know
that
what
for
else I
you.
like to do?
I
I
want to
like
be like you.
yeah, I mean, I'm just getting better at it because I'm very like ADHD. So like now that I'm starting to read books that actually like gain my interest, I'm like, all right, I could slow down a little bit and read. And another thing I like to do, it's kind of really weird. I like to like build Legos. Like the cool ones, like the cool little crazy things, and that's something else that like kind of gets my mind away from the stress of winning and all that. I'm like, you know what? Like, let's just relax. This is fun. Let's do things to kind of take our mind away from what could go wrong, and like those like self-doubt things, so like these little things that I like to do off the mats really help me kind of like ease my mind for when it comes time to train and dial in. Like I'm like, all right, I'm good. I got all the bullshit out of my head, and now I could just lock the hell in. And it's always a good way to like separate myself from the stress of competing and so obsessed with winning. Like I'm like, all right, let's dial it back and remember, this is fun. We do this because it's fun and we love doing this.
I completely understand you on getting obsessive over the result and looking
Hmm.
forward. And I'm very anxious when it comes to, I haven't been competing as much, but uh, women like you inspire me to compete more because you just are so, like, there's just a different type of woman that can get out there and just like throw caution to the wind and not give a fuck about what the result is and just go out there and be aggressive. And
Hmm.
that's why I'm excited to talk to a lot of more women in the industry and people who are actively competing because I want to like get a little fire up my butt too and get back out there. And I was even eyeballing Worlds because I'm in Vegas now. So I think I'll probably
Okay.
at least see you there. I don't think I'm going to be competing or
Yeah.
anything. So we'll be able to catch up and stuff. But when it comes to your biggest goals in jiu-jitsu, because now there's so many different opportunities everywhere.
Hmm.
You're really good friends with Danielle Kelly, who's been killing it over there with one championship. There's
Yep.
UFC grappling league coming out. So like, what is your 2025 vision board looking like?
I mean, definitely want to win a world title of some sort, one type of major. But again, I got to kind of work my points and not just try to kill everybody and chase the sub. So that's something a little bit separate. But as far as like CJI, the UFC grappling league, like that's my goal to be part of that. And again, like I always say, like I don't win all the time, but I always put on a show. And it's not like I'm like plan on like constantly losing, but like I'm not afraid to like showcase my like style and my skill. Like I'm obviously way more talented than just doing crazy submissions, and I think a lot of people are starting to see more of that with me. Like I actually know jujitsu other than jumping on people. You know what I mean? So that's really my goal, to make it to one of those leagues and go out there. And these promotions, they want excitement. They're not really so worried about just like your crazy leg locks or how well you pass guard. They want to see you fucking go for the kill, all or nothing. And that's my style. That's my style. It's been that way since I was a fucking white belt. Sorry, I'm cursing a lot. It's been my style from day one. Like I literally, even since I was a child, I've just always been a freaking nut. And I just feel like I know no matter what, no matter the size, no matter the stage, no matter what, I'm gonna go out there and put on a show. And that's why I've gotten these opportunities, like the invitational. Like I'm only a purple belt. I'm only a purple belt. And people kind of hated on me a little bit for that, for getting that opportunity. They're like, oh, who wants to see purple belts on the stage? Like, okay, but how many girl grapplers do you see doing some of the shit I do? Like, I don't even post half the shit I do. Like, I do a lot of crazy shit, and I think that's why I've gotten the highlights and the opportunities that I have, because I really am I'm a wild card. And my coach Jay says, he goes, you're very unpredictable. You're unpredictable. You don't know where you're gonna go, what you're gonna do, or where you're gonna get it, but you're going for it. And that's not gonna change. So, 2025, I really hope these promotions, forget the belt rank and experience and, years of on this. Like, yeah, I'm very dedicated to this sport. Like I train full time. I work 4 jobs. Jiu-jitsu really is my life. Like I base everything around it. I work these jobs to obtain this lifestyle that hopefully, maybe I will be able to do this full time and not work like a dog to chase this dream, so hopefully, some of these promotions see me and my style, and hey, this girl, she's going to go out there for a fight no matter size, weight, rank, anything. She's gonna go out there and she's gonna give us a show. And I know for sure, like, that'll never change about me. As much as like sometimes I'm like, oh, let me be a little bit more smarter and strategic, because people go out there and they play their games and they play strategic, and I'm like, no, I don't know, that's just not my style. Like is it a little reckless? Yeah, but I'm reckless, and that's what makes me fun, and that's what makes me excited, and I don't think I'm gonna change that. So here we go. So
Yes.
hopefully,
I
fingers
love that
crossed.
I love that you brought up your style because I feel like jujitsu style kind of parallels personality as well. And
Yeah,
when it comes to just your upbringing, I know that you have a Cuban and Italian background, and that maybe
Puerto
you're
Rican, Puerto
Puerto
Rican.
Rican. Puerto
Yeah,
Rican. Okay, okay. Puerto Rican and Italian background.
yeah.
And you grew up and kind of, you were really close to your brother, which I love because I have an older brother that I'm close to as well. But when it comes to having like parental figures that were really guiding you or like an inspiration to start jujitsu, like that wasn't the case for you, which is a lot of the stories for people who are really dedicated to jujitsu. They're like, oh, my father did jujitsu. This is part of our
Mhm.
tradition. Like your story into jujitsu is honestly the epitome of what I feel like women getting into self-defenses. Like it's just the craziest scenarios that you have experienced, and that you have been open about as well. And so that is one amazing to me that you were able to like tell your story and really like move past everything that you've been through. And for the audience members who don't know, just look up Amanda Mazza, if you will hunt, and she goes deep into the story that she went through when you were 19 years old.
Yeah.
And that really was the catalyst of, you know, never wanting to be that vulnerable again, really pushing you for the self-defense. And you were training with guys that basically all males, and you didn't really find like a girl group until later on into your journey. So can you kind of just tell me about what that process was like, first of all, emotionally recovering from such a crazy traumatic event and then turning that into fuel to get into the jiu-jitsu scene?
Well, unfortunately, like I said, I went through that like traumatic situation, and that was like, again, that was like a life or death, like literally life or death situation. And before that, like I said, I had a really hard upbringing in childhood, and I didn't have mommy and daddy in my life, unfortunately. And I've, like I said, how I work now, I've been working like that since I was 12 years old. Even younger, really. I grew up in a really small farm town, so I was like picking blueberries when I was 8 years old. But still, even after that, once I hit 12, same thing. I was working, I was bussing tables. I was literally taking other people's scraps from the tables I was bussing, bringing them home to feed me and my brother. Like, it was really hard and sad. And, unfortunately, I didn't have any type of guidance because I didn't want help from anybody. And I didn't want no one to feel sorry for me because I didn't feel sorry for myself. So, I was I got into a relationship, and I was very trusting of this person. And a couple years go by, and unfortunately this person also came from shit too. So two people come from nothing and shit, like, we don't know better, and we're just learning as we grow. And he had a lot of issues with him and himself, and he basically like left me for dead in the middle of a snowstorm, and I almost died of hypothermia. And luckily I kept moving and found my way to a hospital. And after that, I was like, I will never, ever let myself feel like that again, ever. So, I was already like I said, like, because I had very hard upbringing and stuff, like, I was looking for some escapes. And, I never got into drugs or alcohol ever, like, at all, especially at that age, nothing. So I got into like boxing and kickboxing, and I enjoyed it. And, it was definitely a stress reliever, hitting shit, you know what I'm saying? So, after I like went through all those things, I actually started reading a book about like Paige Van Zandt. And this is when Paige Van Zandt like was really in the UFC and everything, and like wrote her book. And like I related to her book in so many ways. It kind of like inspired me to be like, all right, I maybe this is what I need to do. Like, I could 100% fight. Like, I'll kick somebody's fucking ass. Like, and I also was the kid on the playground beating up boys when they were mean to my brother, or making fun of my hair. I would be throwing dirt bombs at them and making them eat dirt, and just, I was always that little crazy little girl. So I was like, I got the fire. I know I can do this. So after that, um I found an MMA gym, and I'm still very close with my coach, and my coach and some of my teammates till this day. And again, I was the only girl in there, and I was like, I want to fight. I want to fight. Like, I'm never gonna let anybody ever make me feel like that again. And I will never let myself be in a situation like that ever again. So I started to learn, and they were like, all right, you want to fight? Like, your striking's good, but like, hey, let's learn some jujitsu. And I'm like, okay, yeah, let's do it. So I signed up at a jujitsu school out where I was living. Um, and it was like all guys, and it was like all, and two cops owned it, so it was like a lot of like self-defense jiu-jitsu, more for like police officers and everything. And I'm in there, and I'm like, again, I'm a small ass, little ass girl, and I'm like, oh, I want to fight MMA, I want to compete, and they're just like, pump the brakes, like we're learning how to, if someone takes your gun and how to defend yourself with that, and I'm like, all right, like, so I kind of like had to take my time, but hey, I was in there, I was training, I was going and driving myself to competitions by myself, like, and again, that was when I got put to sleep by a freaking 12-year-old girl, and I'm like, all right, this is okay, like keep going, short-term memory on to the next. But honestly, like it was never easy, but you know what, I kept showing up and I kept pushing and I gained my respect, and I'm not going to sit here and say like they disrespected me and they were nasty, no, but like, they just figured she's going to weed herself out eventually, like, because that's sometimes how it is with girls. Like they come in, like like now, not to diss it. Like now the sport's way bigger, but before it was a little bit different. Like girls would come in and they're like, "I want to fight," and then they get punched in the face and they're like, "I'm out. I'm too pretty for this. I don't want to do this." Like it's not for everybody. Like even guys, some guys come in and be like, "I want to fight." They get hit and they're like, "Absolutely fucking not. I'm out." But honestly, like I just kept showing up and I kept training, and there was a point to where like I was living in Atlantic City at the time, so I was driving to Philly to get training. I was driving to Washington Township where Webb is now to get some training, and finally I was like, you know what, like I want to do this. I want to keep chasing this. And I know I can do this. So I moved and I moved up to where I'm at now. And I'm so lucky. I've met the people and coaches and everything because I've honestly jumped levels. Since I moved I lived in Atlantic City. I sold my house in 2021 and I sold my house, moved into like a little tiny apartment, just me and my dog. And I was like, let me chase this dream, and at the time, that's another story, but I was in law enforcement. I went into law enforcement, actually, believe it or not. Um, but honestly, I had a situation happen with that as well that I resigned from that. And I was like, I'm going to chase my dreams 100% now. And yeah, that's where I'm at now. But still, like now, like having the friendships and relationships and the bond that I have with these girls and my coaches, like I am so, so lucky. Like, and I'm so grateful. And like we all are busting our asses. Like, yeah, like I have Danielle, like Danielle's amazing. I have Deanna Bennett, like amazing, amazing not UFC fighter, I'm sorry. Invicta, Bellator, like her. I have Cindy who's on the rise. I have Molly Zabrowski that just crushes everybody. Like I am so lucky that I have these females, and not even that, but they're my friends off the mat too. Like these girls have became some of my best friends, and like, and yeah, like we're sometimes in the same brackets. Yeah, sometimes we're in the same weight class, whatever that is. But like, you know what? At the end of the day, we really genuinely, truly support each other. And sometimes it's hard to find that with girls. But you know what? I don't all my support with my girls is real and genuine. So to think about where I was to where I am now and what I've built around me, oh my God, I tell everybody, I'm like, it could happen. You can do it. If I can do it, everything I went through and everything I had to face and the bullshit and the pain I had to eat, like, come on, like, you can do it. Like, let's go. Like, it is so possible. I truly believe when you want something, it's up to you to go and get it. Like it's never just gonna come. Like just don't say yes to anything unless it's what you want, if you know what I mean. Like just go for it. Go for it, go for it, go for it. And if it's not for you, then fucking cut that out. I always tell my friends, trim the fat. Trim the fat. If it's not bettering you, let it go. If you want you gotta let go of the wrong things to make room for the right things. And I really, really did that these last couple years. And man, I've made some serious waves in the last 3 years to be where I am right now. And I'm like, oh my God, it's only been 3 years. Like, I can't even imagine another 3 years from now where I'm going to be. It's going to be beyond where I'm at right now. So it's just, I don't know. It's just don't count yourself out, And I always say this to people, I'm like, don't count yourself out. Like it's so hard. Like, and listen, this journey has not been easy at all, especially like where I'm at. Like I lose more than I win. Like, and it's not always about winning from me. Like if we don't have losses, we don't appreciate our wins, And that's why no matter what, you just keep knocking on that door. You keep going. You keep putting yourself out there. You keep training hard. You try new things. You go to hard rooms, you take the hard rounds. You're tired, you do the extra round even though you don't want to do it, like those things matter and those things prepare you for what is coming next, if that makes sense.
No, that is such a beautiful story, especially the aspect of getting the girl gang behind you and kind of taking that jump from selling your house, moving to an area where it's going to be completely different. Moving is always hard. Was there
Uh-huh.
certain things you were looking for when you were in the moving process of like, okay, I need to move to this area because it has this gym and I'll have these training partners, or what was kind of the process in moving?
Definitely that. Like I knew that gym was gonna be close. I knew I kind of like where I was living in Atlantic City wasn't necessarily the best spot. And again, like I was very lucky that like I saved my money and I bought a house in 2018. The market was so low. I invested my money and thank God I sold it because I made out very well. And that was like a big accomplishment to me too, because again, like I lost everything when I was 12 years old. So for me to bust my ass from 12 till I bought that house when I was 22 years old, for me to bust my ass to do that and bought this house, like it was my first home. Like I couch surfed from 12 to basically 22. Like I constantly moved all over the place. I was everywhere. I was staying with this person, staying here, going here, living here, couldn't pay my bills, got evicted. Like I had a really hard run at life early on, like, and for me to buy a house, that was a big deal. So for me to sell and make money on top of what I bought it for, that was a huge accomplishment. So I'm like, all right, let's do things now. Like, all right, let's go. Nick, now we go. And once I moved up to Washington Township, like, it was a little further from where I was working at the time, but I was like, hey, I'll make the commute. Like, because guess what? When I come home, I'm 5 minutes from Webb, where I train now. I'm 5 minutes from Webb. My dog loves the area. There's so many
Yeah.
beautiful parks and places and things to go and see. I met a lot of great people that also lived in the area. So I made a lot of friendships and I didn't have to drive an hour to go see them and do these things. So it definitely opened a lot of opportunities. I like got a good job in Philly at the time. Like once I left the other job, I got some good opportunities in Philly, and Philly was 10 minutes away. So it just all really lined up exactly how it was supposed to. Um, and it like sucked because like I left everything and everybody, like all my close friends still live out there and they're still my close friends, like some of my friends since I was a child. And they understand I had to do what I got to do, obviously to do what I want for me in my life. And, it doesn't always align with what everybody else is doing. But you know what? One thing about me, like, I've never really been one to follow the crowd, honestly. And that's kind of why um, people either like they love me or they hate me because I don't know. I'm not a follower. I've never been. Um, I just constantly am just like, I know who I am and what I want, and I'm not meant to live an average life. And I refuse to just settle for one. And yeah, leads me to where I'm at now. I'm doing a million things, but you know what? I'm fucking happy. I'm happy. I'm lucky. I'm grateful. Like I'm blessed. Truly blessed. But again, I have created the life I wanted, and I'm still writing that book. You know what I mean? I'm still writing that story. Like I'm still creating what I want. But again, it's never been easy. That's for sure. Never, ever, ever.
Yeah, and we're about to head into a whole nother chapter with Worlds just around the corner. And I know you have so many training partners that you just mentioned, but one of them that really stands out for me, and I feel like your connection with Danielle Kelly is so special. You can see the support that you guys give each other when you guys are either in a fight camp or just hanging out. And that's like such a genuine, beautiful friendship that I love to see from a distance. And that was something that I was always like, oh, I can't wait to like meet a girl that's like my size and we just do jujitsu because it just makes it so much more fun when you're drilling things
Yeah.
with someone your size. But then also, Danielle's story is super, super, super moving to me because she had a really, tough childhood losing both parents. And I just feel like it's something that you never really even hear from her. You kind of hear it from more than one championship pushing her story and stuff, but she is just such a strong, strong figure and role model in the jiu-jitsu scene. And one of the craziest moments witnessing her get the 50K bonus from Chatri and just breaking down and wishing that her parents were there to witness it will like forever be in my mind. And I'm sure that her story is something that you were able to kind of bond with as well. So can you kind of talk about the relationship that you have with Danielle and how she's been able to kind of support you in a journey as a jiu-jitsu athlete?
Well, I mean, Danielle's incredible. She's so talented. She's so tough. Like she doesn't always get the respect she deserves, but again, that's because, people that are sitting on the couch doing nothing, they got a lot to say, as we know. We call them, what do we call them? Keyboard warriors, whatever. Yeah, she had a rough upbringing. She really did. And you know what? I give her all the respect. And honestly, when I first met her, and like I didn't know all those things about her, and when I got to know her, and we have very similar. Granted, my parents are still alive, but still, like we come from very we come from child hardship, and it was never easy. Luckily, she got into sport at a super young age. I wish I did, but unfortunately, I didn't. But still, just to like know how we both had to work and fight for everything in our lives because we weren't given anything, we just had to eat our pain and keep, chin up and gun through it. Like that's something that we both understand a lot of, and a lot of people don't get, and they're lucky they don't understand that because it's hard shit. It's not easy. So I think me and her really kind of bonded over that because we come from such similar backgrounds. um Somewhat, again, of course our circumstances are a little bit different of 100%, but you know, we get each other. And that's something like it's kind of hard to find because, like you don't, people understand, but then like they don't understand, like unless they've really actually went through something like that. And again, everyone's got their shit. Everyone's been through shit. Everyone has their hard shit. But like when you're a child and you have to fend for yourself, it's kind of, it's really, it builds a different type of character, if you know what I'm saying. Like, and meeting her and getting to know her and going and being her Yuki at seminars and traveling with her, like we really have a really strong bond. And you know, she deserves all the good that's coming her way. She works fucking hard. She works hard. She busts her ass. She's a good person. She's got a good heart. Like people are gonna say what they want no matter what because she's at the top level. Like people hate, unfortunately they hate, and that's what it is. And like I always say, I'm like, there's room for all of us. There really is. There's room for all of us. There's so many promotions, there's so many things. There's this sport is growing so much. Why do we have to knock other people down to feel better? I always say that. It pisses me off. Like I get so mad. I'm like, yo, there's room for all of us. And that's why my group, me, Danielle, Cindy, Molly, Kelly, Kate, all of us, we are like this because we understand that. Like, yo, there's room for all of us. That whole mentality, there can only be one. Like I always say that. Throw that shit the fuck out. Like we elevate each other. My goal isn't to beat Danielle. My goal isn't to beat Cindy's. Molly's goal isn't to beat me. It's not. It's us. We're chasing what we want. Like we can all do this. We can all do this. Like, okay, yeah, there's so many different leagues. Yeah, there's one champion, but still, like, I don't know. Like, it's just with her, like, it's never, like, obviously me and her in the same weight class, but again, like taking her spot was never a thought. And people like make comments like that, like, oh, you want to be better than Danielle. I'm like, no, I don't. I want to be better than who I was yesterday. That's what I want. I don't give a fuck about who's in front of me or behind me. I don't care. I'm focused on me. Okay. And if I have people like Danielle and my girls to help make me better, then hell fucking yeah, I'm gonna ride with that. You know what I'm saying? So with her, like that's what's really cool. Like I was just in Ireland with her and we had so much fun, and she taught a whole camp out there and we did a lot of fun cool shit. And honestly, like at the end of the day, like she even gives me sound advice. She's like, yep, do what you want, like chase your dreams, like don't let anyone tell you no. Like you're on the right path, you're doing great things. Like, and she gives me, even when I train with her, obviously she's a monster. And if I even try to get somewhere, it's like she'll let me work a little bit, then she'll beat my ass and I'm like, damn it. Like she'll be like, "Oh, that's cute," and then just beat my ass. I'm like, "God damn it!" But she's so great, and she helps me, and she teaches me. Like she just honestly, she's so fucking talented, and she really is a good person. And I just wish everybody could see more of that instead of hating on it because she's in a good spot. Like that kind of drives me a little bit crazy sometimes. 'Cause I'm like, she's not a bad person. Like you guys could hate all you want, but she you got to give it to her. Like nobody has really walked in her shoes or dealt with what she's dealt with. Like I've dealt with similar things, but not that. And I don't know if I would ever recover from that. Even my parents suck. They were not good parents. They're not good people. But you know what? For her to lose that and then to still be where she is, she deserves all the respect in the world for that reason. So I'm very lucky that me and her are as close as we are because you know what? She's incredible on and off the mats, and I give it to her. Like I give her all the credit in the world because like you said, like her winning that and wishing her parents could see that, like that's just nobody knows that pain, Like I mean people do, but you know what I'm saying? Like I give it to her and she deserves it. And I can't wait to see her do it again.
Yeah, it was definitely such an authentic moment. And I know how you mentioned the childhood hardship, kind of building that armor and that personality of who you are today and being able to utilize that on the mats is such a advantage, I would say, because it comes out with that aggression, it comes out with your style, and it makes people want to watch you compete. And I thought it was interesting that you brought up the fact that like there will be internet trolls being like, "Oh, you're trying to be like Danielle Keller, you want her place," or anything like that, because they probably don't train, and they probably have no sense of the idea of like leaving your ego at the mat. Like when you're on here, you're just training to get better, and there's not this like petty competitiveness. You also kind of see more drama on the guy side. Like when we think about like some of the biggest I guess gossip points of jiu-jitsu, you had the Danaher death squad split and different things like that. And you don't really get that as much with girls. I feel like with girls, the trash talk, it's not like the most trash talk we ever really had was like Jasmine Hosha being like, "Oh,
Yeah.
is Fionn gonna do a base Nika?" And that I think is good. Like I was kind of the unpopular opinion of like, "Hey, if you guys have to get on the mic and say something a little spicy, I'm all for it." I know
Yeah.
some other girls in the community are kind of like, "We don't need that in the sport." I am a little bit indifferent on how you want to
Yeah.
get things promoted. But when it comes to your goals and being able to get put onto these bigger cards, I know you said you have that exciting style, but are there any specific matchups that you think would bring a good storyline to a CJI, the UFC Grappling League? They want to put on their own reality shows. Is there any kind of ideas that you think of that would be like, oh, this would be interesting for the jiu-jitsu audience?
Um, I can't really think of anybody or anything on the top of my head. I mean, I think like the guard wrestler, like I think the wrestlers, like I think like kind of clashing styles is always exciting, because you have someone that has phenomenal guard, and you have someone that has phenomenal wrestling. Like you look at like Jason Knopf and Rotullo, like that match was fucking crazy. Like, and Rotullo stood with him. You know what I mean? Like Rotullo knew he was a Division 1 triple NCAA champion, and like, and he's like, I don't care, I'm not backing down. Like that's kind of how I am. Like, like something like I've learned is like go into the fire. Go into the fire. You go into it. So like I think like having like the clash of styles is pretty cool. Like I think that would be really a good thing. Like someone that's a phenomenal guard leg locker, and then someone that's like fucking killer wrestler, someone like me. Like I'm a good wrestler and I'm good at jumping over people's guards. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. It's kind of like, oh, like she get a pass or she just get a full send and just jump over her guard and just go for it. You know what I mean? Like things like that would be cool. As far as like a matchup or something, like cool matchups, I don't really know. I mean, I think definitely trying to keep girls in their weight class definitely plays a big part. Like I said, like the invitational like was so awesome, such a great opportunity. I went against Hannah, Hannah cut to 130. I waited with my jeans and my phone in my pocket and hit 120. That was definitely like I agreed to the match because I'm not gonna say no to it, you know what I mean? But I definitely don't feel like I was able to display my jiu-jitsu, one because the weight difference, and she was just so strong, and again the nerves beat me that day, and I went out there and I kind of froze and definitely didn't do my best at all, but that's on me. And again, like I knew what I was signing up for, and I didn't do my part that day, and that's why I'm like, well, please bring me back. Like I have Fury coming up at the end of the month, and I definitely plan on winning whoever I go against. I don't care whoever I get matched up with. And I'm definitely gonna call back out to be back on FPI or even get into this jiu-jitsu league, the UFC jiu-jitsu league, whatever it is. Like I'm just ready to constantly put myself out there and show that I am one of the most exciting grapplers there is, especially for a female. Definitely. And as far as like the trash talking and stuff, I do think it was great what Jasmine did and Fionn. Like they're both two of the top women in the sport. And I think it's awesome. I like Jasmine still kept it classy. Like yeah, she was attacking Fionn, but she wasn't attacking Fionn super personally. Like when it's personal, it's kind of like, all right, like you don't need to go that low. Like we all got our shit. You don't need to fucking attack people's characters. You could talk shit on their jiu-jitsu if someone's like, "Oh, what's Amanda gonna do? Flying on our me? Like that's all she's got." Like, okay, yeah, talk that shit, but don't sit here and say like disrespectful personal shit. Like, like I don't like that part. That part, I'm like, no. Keep it in the sport. Say your shit, talk your shit, but don't fucking attack my personal life. And sometimes guys get a little too carried away with that, and it's just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like when they start talking about their wives or their girlfriends or their kids, it's like, really? Like you're that upset in the sport to attack their personal life? Like mind your fucking business. Like I don't know. I don't like that part of the trash talking, but I do like the spice, like you said, like that Fionn and Jasmine had going on with that. I kept it very funny and entertaining. And every time Fionn hit a knee cut, you just even watching it, the crowd was just like, wow. And you're just like, oh shit. Like, but and then afterwards, Jasmine had all the respect and class. Like Jasmine's a cool person. I've met her a couple of times, and honestly, she's funny. She's cool. Really, really talented. And Fionn, I'm lucky that I got to train with Fionn a couple times up at Essential when she was in New York, and she smashed the shit out of me. But man, she's funny and she's fun and she's cool. But yeah, it's I don't know, just you could have your spice, but still be respectful.
What was your take when ADCC versus CJI first started dropping and they started releasing the names of who they were going to have in the bracket? Like, were you just sitting there eating popcorn with all the drama and the trolling coming from Craig?
Well, my coach Jay is one of the main ADCC like judges, refs, all that. My coach Jay, so like that was a sticky situation because obviously like he's obviously ADCC, but he really liked the idea of the grapplers actually being paid, and that was like me too because again I'm someone that works multiple jobs to obtain this lifestyle and chase these dreams. So for grapplers to be able to just go out there and just go and get picked for this and make 10 grand off the rip, I'm like, that's amazing. That's fucking amazing because you know what? Like, me, like, one of the jobs I do is I bartend. So, like, if I had to take off for a whole weekend to go compete, like, I'm not working. So, if I don't work and I'm a bartender, I don't make money. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like I get PTO for bartending. So I thought that was really cool. And I was all about it. Like, ADCC is awesome and it's the Olympics of Jiu Jitsu. But what Craig did for CJI, like, and these athletes, like, I understand, like, it's all the bigger names and the people we see constantly, but still, like, for them to leave ADCC to go and make money, like, I respect them for doing that. Like, yeah, it sucks. Like, your goal in this sport is to be ADCC champion, but to walk away from that to go win $1 million or even just getting your 10 grand as soon as you step on the mat to take the first match, yeah, like, we put like, okay, we're not in a cage punching each other in the head, but we put ourselves and our bodies out there a lot. And there's fucking crazy injuries in jujitsu too. Like, there's like career ending injuries in this sport too. And, you know, a lot of us athletes, fighters, grapplers, we're all fucking poor. Like, some of us don't even have health insurance. So, like, for us to be able to go out there and get a chance to win money, and God forbid we get hurt, hey, we're still getting money for doing it to pay for getting our fucking knee replaced. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I was all for CJI, and honestly, like, I don't know, Mo. And again, like, I don't know the situation too much. Like, obviously, there's more behind closed doors that we'll never know. But just for the fact of like Craig bringing light to getting athletes paid more has really done a lot because now look, Dana White is considering doing a grappling league because look how much the sport's blowing up. Like, CJI was incredible. Like, there was not one boring match on there. Like, everybody came out there to fucking fight for $1 million, and they did exactly that. So honestly, like, I am team CJI to the end, and one day I really hope Craig hears me, sees my little nutty ass because I'll go on those walls and I'll do fucking crazy backflips, front flips, all that. I will be sure to put on a show as a female if I ever get on one of those. So CJI, I was so hyped for that. I don't even think I really watched much of ADCC other than two of my teammates, Amanda Levy and Daishi Goto, were in there. So I tuned in for them. But other than that, I didn't really watch too much. So I was more like CJI, let's go.
Yeah, well, no, we'll definitely manifest that CJI look because this year there's not going to be as much, I feel like, drama because there's no ADCC, so there's not going to be that kind of nature of stealing
Yeah.
athletes. But I also feel like that leaves room for, the female athletes. I think the big part that there wasn't the female bracket this time was just like for the time restraints. Like the first broadcast was like a 10-hour day. It was crazy. But I feel like 2025 is going to be the year. So I'm manifesting
Yeah.
that for you
Yeah.
100%. I know that the tenacity that you bring is something that inspired Few Will Hunt to reach out to you and make them a big part of their brand. So can you talk to me about what they have been able to do for you and support you and kind of how that relationship even began?
Oh God, Joey and Drew. I mean, a lot of people don't know who actually own Fuel Hum, but Joey and Drew, they are two of the coolest people you will ever meet. Honestly, they started a brand. They had their jobs. They hated it, and they were like, hey, we bust our ass. We're all about hard work, and that's how Fuel Hunt happened. But really, like, they kind of just started following me because again, they're from out of Philadelphia, so again, it's not far from where I was living at the time. They just kind of started following my journey and seeing me out on the stages, at Fury grappling and everything, and they just saw and heard about me, like, because again, when I came to the area and started training and got on my first time ever being on Fury grappling, I made it onto UFC Fight Pass page. They like highlighted one of my finishes, so like that was like a big jump. And then the next day after that, I competed at finishers, and I was on Flow Grappling. I got highlighted on Flow Grappling. So in one weekend, I got posted on um two major pages, like UFC Fight Pass highlighted my finish, and then Fury grappling. I mean, yeah, a Flow grappling highlighted it, and that was Saturday, Sunday, literally. So after that, they're like, "Damn, this girl! Like, where did this girl come from?" Like, I kind of came out of nowhere. Like, I was already a blue belt once I came to Web, so and I just started going out there and just competing and putting myself out there and making waves like right away. And I was new to like the Philadelphia scene, so right away they had reached out to me and they were like, "Hey, like, we like your style, we like your attitude, like, let's meet." So I went and I met them, and they just literally were like, "Hey, would you want to be one of our athletes?" And I'm like, "Absolutely, like, absolutely. I would love to represent you guys." So like, I'm exclusive with them, obviously. I'm one of their athletes, and they take care of me. Like anything I need, want, everything. Like they've helped me with registration fees for competitions. They had helped me with custom gear, with sponsors on my logos, like, and anything I need, they jump. They jump for me, and honestly, they're my friends too. Like I really was able to build like an actual like genuine relationship with them and their wives and their kids. And I'm really fortunate for that because like usually it's like, oh, it's strictly business. Like no, like these guys are like they're my buddies. Like anytime they even have an issue, they'll come talk to me and just be like, "Hey, I just need the vent." And I'm like, "I'm here, like, talk to me." Like, and I'm really fortunate that, like, we all have the same vision. And luckily, like, Molly, she's one of my best friends, and she's also a few on her athletes. Her and Sean Brady were like two of the first. So that's another way they saw me too, through Molly, because I was training with Molly a lot, and me and Molly got really close really, really fast. Um, so that was another way. They were like, "Oh wow, like, Molly busts her ass. Molly's incredible. Amanda's out here training with Molly, busting her ass as well." And, like being able to represent them, like they're all about hardship and pushing through and just kind of like coming out on top no matter what. Like just like their saying is like only few will hunt, like, and it's true. Like people, like once they start hitting hard shit, they start coming up with excuses. And few will hunt, it's fuck excuses. No such thing as excuses. Just go, like, gun through it. Like I said, like, chin up, gun through it. And that's what their brand is. And I'm like, I couldn't represent a better brand because that's my whole fucking life. Like, you just keep going, just keep chipping away at it.
I thought you were going to bring up the one where they're like, no one cares, work harder.
Yeah, well, that too. And I've always said that, and I laugh because I'm like, it's true. Because, like I said, like when I was going through everything I was going through, like, how many times I've cried in my fucking car. Like, I've cried. I'm sure that's like everybody's little spot, but like before, or after practice, or going through things and getting through this, like in my car, cry it out and just go. Like, again, like going through everything, I never felt sorry for myself. I never wanted people to feel sorry for me. And, before the fuel hunt, did the interview with me about like my story and everything, I never told anybody. Like there's like very few people that know everything that happened to me with that. And I I like honestly it took me I they asked me early on when they first met me like about it and everything, and I told them like a very glimpse of like piece of it, but I didn't like fully go into detail. And they're like, "Hey, one day when you're ready, you let us know." And it took me like a year and a half, almost 2 years, to be ready to actually speak about it and put it on this platform. Like, if you meet me and you talk to me like outside of jiu-jitsu and everything, you would never know I went through some of the things I went through. Like, honestly, like people that have met me and then actually like you, like how you've listened to my story, you're like, "What?" Like, I didn't know that went happened. Like, I don't post about it. I don't talk about it. I don't cry about it. Like, it all made me who I am. Even the bad, even it was fucking dying in the middle of a snowstorm. It made me who the fuck I am. So like for people for me to like actually go out there and put it out there, I was so afraid. I was so afraid. I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna get so much hate." And especially the person that did this. Like obviously there's some like restraining orders and things that had legal actions that had to happen after that because I literally almost died. Um I was afraid that that stuff would kind of resurface, and I didn't want that to happen. So I was terrified for that, terrified. And I was just like, you know what? But something in my gut is telling me, like, let's just do it. Let's just open up. Let's just talk about it. Because you know what? If it, maybe this could help somebody. And, you know, the feedback I got from that, I was so afraid. Even when it came out and it was edited, everything, like Kyle edited it, filmed it, I did not listen to it for 4 months. I didn't watch it for 4 months. I was too afraid to listen and hear about it and almost like relive it, because every time you talk about it, you know, you like it brings you back, and it's not an easy thing to think about or deal with. So for me to like talk about it and then, you know, be able to be on Fuel Hunt's platform and speak about that, God, I'm just, I'm grateful that I did, because it really, really, really resonated with a lot of people, and it helped a lot of people, and I'm glad people are starting to see me for me and get to know me, because again, I don't put all my personal shit all over social media. I've never been that way. Like, you know, I don't like people in my business, so I don't get in other people's business. You know what I'm saying? So like, for me to put that big, big, big piece of me out there, it was scary, but you know what? I trusted Drew and Joey that this would lead in the right direction, and it most certainly has.
Yeah, I know for a fact there are women out there that have heard that story and can really help themselves feel better, because I'm sure if even someone experienced a micro of that situation, it would affect them really, really deeply. So the fact that you were able to put it out, and I think that also shows like the healing that you've done since that moment. And I can totally see why you wouldn't watch it back for 4 months until after it was released. But just know that
Yeah.
I really feel like it, having that out there for other women to know that someone can bounce back from that and make the career that they're doing and still grind, have 4 jobs. And hopefully we're getting to a point where you don't have to work those 4 jobs. You can just do this full time, get you on CJI, get you on this UFC grappling league coming out, because that is what you deserve. You're so hardworking. I can 100% understand why Fuel Hunt reached out to you. I know we're like coming up on time. So is there any sponsors or teammates that you've been working with in the lead up to Worlds that you want to give a shout out to? The floor is yours.
Oh God, yeah. My girl Kat, she's about to be on Who's Number One next week. I don't really know her opponent's name. I'm sorry, I can't think on the top of my head. Kat Dasani, she's incredible. She's a black belt. She's gonna go out there and kick some ass. She's been working with me. She's a one solid 115er, so I'm very lucky for her, and she's gonna kill it next week. Danielle, of course. She's gonna go get her belt back. She's crushing it. We all been working for things. So like, Kat has Who's Number One. Danielle has one. Cindy Ung, my girl. That is my girl. I've known Cindy since I was a white belt. She trains in Philly at Balance, and I've met her from day one, and we've been close since. So Cindy Ung, she was on Invitational 7. Yeah, is it 7 or 8? Which one? I think,
Probably 7. I don't remember
yeah,
her from.
she went against Cassia. Yeah, you know, she deserves that spotlight too. And she's a very low key girl. But man, she is talented. So Cindy, love you, my girl. Molly, my girl, Molly's my person. Molly's my dude. Like she's a lot bigger than me, but man, like we push each other. So she's like a 145, 155 pounder. She's also like tall as shit. And if you see us, so it's like this, but that's my girl. And she kicks my ass, and she hypes me up, and she's just so fucking great. So Molly, Cindy, Danielle, Kat, my girl Kelly also, she competes here and there. She actually just got her doctorate, so she took a break. So Kelly, she comes in, and even though she's got all this shit going on with school and everything else, she still comes in and gives me a good push. Yeah, Kelly, my friend Kate Egan, she's amazing as well. But yeah, those girls are like my solid crew, man. They just push me, they believe in me, they hype me. And we're all working towards something. And a lot of us are doing worlds, and then Kat and Danielle have Who's Number One and one. So, and of course, Fuel Hunt for just believing in me, giving me the best American made gear, and just honestly just being solid, genuine, good people all around. So I am blessed. I am excited. I am coming for that gold medal. I have a tough division. I don't care. I'm sending it. I'll be a little bit stingy with my points. I think I'll try, but I'm going out there to win it. And, you know, balls to the wall or nothing at all. So that's me.
If you enjoyed that interview, be sure to check out this one.